Saad Siddiqui. I'm the founder and chief executive officer of Edversity, an e-learning platform working on a mission to upskill the youth of Pakistan through cutting-edge technologies like artificial intelligence, blockchain, Internet of Things, and quantum computing. And with me is Gabrielle, uh, Daniel Ulin, and Maliha. And I don't know about your name, so briefly introduce yourself, starting off from Gabe.
Sure. I'd like to say hi to everybody. It's my second time in Pakistan. It's amazing to be here. When I came here in October, I was just amazed at how technological this place is, how friendly the people are. We have such a negative view of Pakistan in the West, and I was so surprised and so honored to come back. And I would like to thank everybody. I was a civil structural engineer for NASA at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. About 8 years ago, I resigned my position so I could travel around the world speaking at schools about the space program and about having to have a happy life. It's a privilege and honor to be here. I'm looking forward to this opportunity.
Hi everyone, my name is Vibeke, Gwendoline, Faengsrud. And I think that sounds as exotic to you as some of your names sounds to me, which is quite good because that means we have a lot to learn from each other. I have a company called House of Math, and it's kind of in the name. We make sure that people learn math the fastest, easiest, and most efficient way. We've practiced a method that I came up with about 20 years ago, and it has taken everyone who tries to top grades in math. Me, myself, I flunked math in high school. Now it's a master in math. I will do a talk about how to go and do that journey tomorrow. And I'm super excited to be here. And just also want to add, I grew up with a lot of Pakistanis in my class back home in Norway. So when I did home economics, I was taught making Pakistani foods. I was taught even songs in Pakistani. So I'm super honored to be here. So thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Dan Ulin. I had no idea I was going to be sitting on this stage until about 3 seconds ago. I'm from Los Angeles. I have a company called Elite Student Coach. I'll be speaking tomorrow. I help extraordinary kids get into the colleges of their dreams and crush it in school, work, and life. And this is my first time in Pakistan. I couldn't be more thrilled to be here. You guys are awesome. That's it for me. Come back tomorrow. Hear me speak.
My name is Maliha Ejad. I'm from Karachi. Don't come to Lahore very often, and it's really cold as far as I'm concerned. So good on you for surviving this. I'm based in UAE. I have a edutech company. And unlike these two, where they work with children, we work with teachers. And it's a niche area that we work with. So we train early childhood educators. And the tech bit of the company is because we want to make sure that we're able to reach teachers in far-flung areas so that they get inputs on best practice, global best practice. The way forward is to ensure that educators are able to work with children on 21st century skills, etc. Thank you.
Thank you. Maliha, you mentioned that you have an edutech company. So what is your vision about education technology? I mean, is there any need of physical education centers in 21st century or not?
Yes and no. I think the personal side of teaching has to remain. That's, my perception. There's a lot that we can do to supplement it with technology. But when I say personal side, in this day and age, the personal side can be through Zoom. You need to have that face from a teaching perspective. You need to have those people to instill certain values in children. Education is not just about the math and the English, it's also about the values. So there is a personal element needed, but again, that personal element needs to be re-envisioned, in my opinion.
So you mentioned that STEM fields are very much common and it should be learned in the most crucial way. So how do you think universities, schools, colleges can actually integrate STEM fields in bringing the quality education together?
Well, I love that question, so thank you. I think one of the biggest problems is that we know how to teach the different subjects. One of the biggest issues is that there's structural kind of barriers in the school system that makes it hard to find a one-size-fits-all. Because that's not how it is. If there was a one-size-fits-all model, we'll all be geniuses. And not meaning to be negative here, but unfortunately, we all don't have top grades. So what we do, and that I've kind of spent my career doing, is building a system that doesn't let those structural changes hinder you, and making sure it's not curriculum-driven, but topic-driven on an individual level. So I think that when it comes to the technology part, it actually opens up in order to give you that truly individualized learning that a lot of companies, unfortunately, don't build to because they want to be in the school system. And to be in the school system, you need to reproduce the systemic problems that are there. At House of Math, we do the opposite. We say, we will go to the schools when they are ready to learn each and every student at the level they need to be taught. And I think that's something that schools and universities need to be more open to. And it's not a teacher problem. I mean, as a teacher, you are responsible for about 30 people. If I ask you how many good teams has one leader and 30 people who are well-driven teams, they're nowhere. And why is that? Because we know it doesn't work, but we expect it to work in schools. And that, to me, is a big problem. So it's these changes, and that's kind of what we're building, kind of getting around these problems to make sure that whoever you are, what level you're at, whether you were supposed to be really good and it didn't work, or you're really strong, will cater to where you're at. And I think that that's what schools, universities also need to do, that more individual. Like in medicine, we talk about personalized medicine, giving you that one thing you need to get healthy. And that's kind of what we're doing for education.
Superb, superb. This is my personal, a question of my personal interest, because when I was studying in my higher colleges, so I was, I wanted to become a computer scientist, software engineer, someone wants to become mechanical engineer, electrical engineering, but what about space education? In a very core concepts, what is space education? How one can opt for the space education? Why there are so many few centers of space education? What are your views in this?
Yeah, so I'm not a teacher. I'm an engineer. I've got involved with this panel because I like education. I travel around the world speaking at schools, so in some way I'm in education, but I've not been trained. And I also talk about STEAM instead of STEM, which includes arts. I think when you isolate arts from it, you eliminate some of the audience. So I push STEAM when I'm talking about it, which just includes arts, so everybody is involved. But for me, I think learning should be fun. I also didn't do well in school. I struggled really badly. And when I talk about teachers, it's the most challenging job in the world. You have 30 students, different desires, different learning abilities, different backgrounds. As a teacher, you have to mold all of these 30 students the same way, the same time, the same objective, and it's very, very challenging. So one of the things I like to talk about is making learning fun. I always say, as a teacher, if you can make learning fun, no matter the subject, the students will do well. As a student, if you enjoy what you do, if you have fun learning, one of the things I've got involved with are some teachers in Norway, oddly enough, who are looking at AI. They're looking at bringing computer gaming into the classroom and having students learn through this. So I think this is really modern. With space education, I think most of us are interested in space. One of the greatest things about being in Florida at Kennedy Space Center, to me, everywhere you look, every wall, everywhere you go, there's pictures of space, of astronomy, of the stars. So your mind are constantly going to these magical places. And then you see a big building and you see a ship being put together, a payload being put on top, goes to a launch pad, and it goes to these magical places. So magical places become reality, and it's so much fun. If you can get that environment, that's what I try to do when I go to the schools. I try to bring the fun and the magic of learning to the students. And I really hope to learn from all of you here and how I can help when I go to schools.
Yeah, I just let you know, House of Math is a Norwegian company, and out of Norway. And also, so you said you were coming to Norway next week in order to talk to schools and be a part of that project. And we are involved in those kinds of projects, looking into through University of Oslo and Simla, which is a then STEM thinking tank. And it's super exciting, all the research coming out of Norway on this, and we're a part of it. So I'm really looking forward to hosting you when you come next week.
Thank you so much.
Perfect. So Dan, I have a question. What role does technology play in creating a more inclusive environment for education? I mean, everyone is talking about education from this angle, from this side, but no one actually knows how to create an inclusive environment for students. So what is your say on this? Like how technology can play a role in creating an inclusive environment?
That is a big question. So let me chunk it down for you. Let me first start by talking about what Gabe, yes, and Gwen had to say about teaching. I think it's very tough to be a teacher these days. I think it's also very tough. It's a very, very competitive world out there. And I think it's tough to be a parent, and it's tough to be a teenager and a young person. And to come back to a point that the previous speaker made, the gentleman talked about, Pakistan is not going to be able to absorb all the graduates. 1 million kids graduating per year. The industries that are here, it's an amazing country, will not be able to absorb the number of graduates coming out. And so it begs the question of how many of you are going to be able to become entrepreneurial? Yes? The good news is you're already doing that. And the reason I bring the teaching thing into it is that teaching, I'm a mentor. I mentor kids. It's kind of old school. It's from Europe and the subcontinent, yes, in which you'd come out of grade school or the equivalent thereof, and then you'd learn a trade, okay? So I'm bringing that into the new world in my one-to-one work that I do with my mentees. But bringing that back in, I become a better mentee by having the young kids with whom I work, the high school kids and the middle school kids, give me feedback loops. I know I'm succeeding when the 14, 15, 16-year-olds come back to me after 5 or 6 or 7 sessions and say, hey, Dan, all that stuff that we've been working on together, that's pretty good, but what you just said, that doesn't work for me at all. It would work a lot better if we tried it this way. And in their giving me a way that works better for them, I become a better mentor for them, and they in turn become better mentors for the kids with whom they work. It's a pay-it-forward mentoring system. And they bring that into context because having spent a little bit of time with Gwen on the very long bus ride in from the airport yesterday, and a bit of time with Gabe, and I have a kid with whom I'm working right now who wanted to go into aerospace, and now he's entering college in an aerospace program. And he had trouble integrating, well, I was an architect before. I wanted to study architecture, and now I want to study aerospace, and those two can't be reconciled. And I leaned into it as he's now getting into schools and said, they absolutely can be integrated. Space science is completely, they're going to have to design habitats. You're going to have to design habitats and vehicles and all kinds of things. So to address your issue, technology is integral to everything that's going on right now. Yes? The world is happening very, very quickly. Moore's law has been eclipsed a long time ago, and technology is happening faster and faster. And so the faster that kids and their parents can learn to adapt and embrace that sort of that terrifying beauty of not knowing, yes, and leaning into that beauty of not knowing, and in a world in which we're scared to not know and say, I don't know, accept the beauty of, I don't know, but let's find out, and let's find out together. Yes? Does that resonate with any of you?
Yes.
Say yes. I can't hear you.
Yes.
Okay. Because not knowing is a beautiful thing. And so, with technology, where's Nikki? Nikki started off, hey, hi, Nikki. Lovely to see you. Nikki started off today by asking, how many of you have used ChatGPT this week? And everybody raised their hand, because of course we have. And how many of you own a robot? And I think one thank you, one guy out there. And we saw a drone flying around. Technology is baked into who we are today. And so technology is very much a part of the process. And it's playing an evolving process every day. We have to keep up with it, and not knowing how it's going to show up, not knowing whether a drone's going to fly through our bathroom, or whether we're going to have to learn a new technology tomorrow, where that might have been scary before. That's super exciting, isn't it?
Superb. Yeah, your call.
Yeah, I just wanted to add some statistics to what you're saying and what we're basically talking about here. I mean, let's look at Norway.
Hold on, a math person adding statistics onto something?
Yeah,
that's
the weird
crazy.
thing. I know.
When does that ever happen?
No, so Norway, 5.4 million people. That's like zero, right? In Norway alone, by 2030, we're going to be 40,000 tech people short. Mathematicians, physicists, so on. In the world, we're going to have a yearly deficit of 1 million people within this field every year from 2030. It's at a cost of trillions of dollars on a yearly note, right? So for us to spread the word, to get it out there and make that barrier for those who understand math and those who think it's, a little difficult, to get that jump is some of the most important work we do. Because we can't have it that we create those who can and those who can't. We need to get everyone across the divide.
Yeah, sure. Maliha, yes.
Yeah. Can I add to?
Add, and I have a question ready for you.
I'll come to that. But I just wanted to add and to bring the perspective to the Pakistani stage and how technology can help us. We know that there are millions and millions of children who are out of school. Early years is my specialty, and early years is the most important foundation for a child. And there are, how do we bring in those 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds who've kind of missed the bus? And that's where technology comes in. That's where programs such as yours will make a real impact on these children to take them forward. And that's how we can use technology, whether we're talking about children, whether we're talking about educators. We need to expand the reach. We need to get to each and every one of them. And we are suffering from a lag. And technology is the way to breach that gap. So just wanted to add that.
Superb, superb. I have a question, Maliha. Everyone talks about that in education, there is a specific need of community, collaborative environment, students' interaction with each other. What is your goal in promoting this thought? Like how to actually reinforce this whole concept and how to cater the community needs of students in education?
I think the community is not just the children, it's the parents, it's the teachers. We've all heard it takes a village to raise a child. And building on that, it's extremely important that everyone is connected. Using tools, using apps. I know a lot of schools use apps, universities use apps, but you need to bring them together as well. You need that interaction. You need to make it real time. Again, I'm not saying it has to be face-to-face, but using technology to make it real time. It's important to stay connected. It's really critical for children to stay connected. There's so many things that happen which kids in schools, teenagers will share with other teenagers, will definitely not share with their parents. Those of us who are parents of older kids know that. So it's really important that that community works. And again, standards and values. It's important that as we bring in, technology into everything, we keep the standards and values that are important. So if a child knows something about another child, and suicide rates in teenagers are so high, it's not for that child to keep it to himself. He needs to know what are the steps. He needs to know the values. It's very important to keep those in perspective as well.
You talked about making learning fun. What is the role of having mentors in addition to teachers in this terminology, like making learning fun? How mentors can help in this? Mentors doesn't mean that we need educators, but we need mentors who can help guide the path. So what is your call?
Well, I think there's two parts to making learning fun. One, instead of like sit there and read and do it, you shouldn't have that kind of whipping it into people. That doesn't really help much. But going like, hey, if you know this, it's going to open this door. If you know that, you're going to be able to do this. Like showing the opportunities there, that's one way of making learning fun. Another way, you can gamify it like we do in House of Math. Like if you do that, then you get this many points and you making a competition out of it. Or then you get add-ons to your dragon, because of course you have a pet dragon at House of Math. But it's also about telling people, one part of life is fun. Another part of life is really boring. And sometimes you need to take the boring with the fun. And being open about, we're going to do this, we have to do it this way. When you get your times tables in, you need to get it in. It's a lot of kind of remembering. Then you could do, well, let's play this game to help you remember. So it's also being open about the fun part and the not so fun part and putting it into context that is motivating and inspiring and makes you kind of lift your head from school and seeing where it can take you.
But what strategies you found most effective in capturing the interest of young learners in this?
Leagues. I mean, what I find to be very interesting is that those on our platform who are interested in the league system and kind of want to compete to, the bronze league and the silver league just for themselves, they spend 235% more time doing math. And they do 173% more math just by engaging in that kind of social part of being in a league. So that's one way of putting it into a context where you get more engagement.
Right. Maliha, I have a question. You are working in the Middle East, right? And there is a language barrier there. Everyone uses Arabic language there. And while we were launching in Saudi Arabia, that was the key challenge, that people weren't able to understand English language, right? So how do you think localized content, what are your thoughts about having localized content? And what are your thoughts that one should learn in the localized language, but not in the international language in terms of learning part, right? So what is it?
So one of the things that we do is all our content is in English. We curate a lot of content. We work with universities in the US, in the UK, also Australia, to curate that content. Everyone has the same data. Everyone answers in the same language, which is English. We supplement our programs in encouraging the girls, the students, our teachers, to get on to English. Because we feel when we translate, and you're translating a lot of academic text, you lose out on things. So we make sure, we've had girls who are completely Arabic speaking or French speaking, and at the end of 9 months, we have long duration programs. They're able to converse, they're able to communicate, they are more confident. So yes, you can supplement. So we do supplement with, say, an Arabic speaker, but the course content is all in English. The submissions are all in English, and we help them, support them. And one of the things that now we're looking at is how to use Gen AI for communication effectiveness. So really excited about incorporating certain things related to that, so that, again, everyone is measured on the same platform, on the same basis. So it's a bit of both.
I think it's superb. Gabe, I have another question for you. What are the key lessons you give to students about your life learning experiences, about working with astronauts, working with space engineers, and working in such an environment where people are reluctant to go? Like, what are your personal life lessons?
So one of the things I'd like to add, we were talking a little bit about having fun.
Yeah, sure.
One of the best things for me about Norway, and I've been to Norway 20 times, I've been to 18 countries around the world speaking at schools. So I know the differences between the countries. And what I've learned more than anything else, we are all alike. We are identical. Students in Norway, students in any country in the world, Pakistan, are exactly alike. It's amazing. And I really enjoy Norway because in Norway, the kids call the teacher by their first name, which I think is excellent. I'm not sure about Denmark, but I know in Norway they do that. And I think it's great to have that connection with them. Some of the things I learned when I was in Pakistan last time, some of the schools, you have beautiful universities, amazing schools here in Pakistan, but many of the programs involve students going into a room where they can do anything. They have opportunities to build rockets, they can do anything, it's just free time. Trying to take the learning out of the classroom and giving them the freedom to learn what they want to learn on their own. With science, and especially space, I think almost everybody is fascinated with space. I was on the beach in Florida and I saw a shuttle launch and I thought, man, that's super cool. That's how I got interested in the space program. But I think the space program has magic for everybody at any age. So I think it's easy to get them interested. To get them to stay interested is a little more challenging. Math and science, a lot of people are afraid of math and science. And a lot of times I blame teachers. Teachers say, this is a math course, it's really hard, really hard. I try to say, math is like any other subject. Prepare well, you're gonna do fine. But if you're told before you start it's gonna be hard, then it's gonna be hard. Right. So for me, it's about enjoying what you do. And I like the idea of how Norway makes that gap between the students and the teachers more of a friendly environment.
Superb, superb. Yeah.
I just want to weigh in on that. One of the top female leaders and top leaders in Norway, she asked me once, when you flunked math, what on earth made you think that you could get a master's in math? And I was like, I thought it was a very strange question. And I was like, why not? Like, seriously, why shouldn't I be able to? I have 2 legs, 2 arms, doesn't matter. I have a brain, it's all good. Why shouldn't I be able to be good at math? Millions of people are good at math. Why shouldn't I be one of them? But for one odd reason, the whole world keeps telling everyone, it's so hard and you need to be a genius. But you don't. You could be like an East.Dan girl like me, just deciding, why shouldn't it be possible? Because there are actually 0 reasons why I shouldn't be good at math. So I gave it a go. And it kind of worked out. I get to sit here now, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, your call.
Okay, I'm going to jump on that because that was a beautiful, thank you for setting that one up for me and for my setting that for well, just like we practiced it. You know, I grew up being told, Dan, you're terrible at math. When I was in 2nd or 3rd grade, I had a teacher who said, you're bad at math. And so I grew up believing I was terrible at math. How many of you were told as a child you're not good at something, whether it was math or okay, a few hands going up. So we build our adult lives generally around the way that we conceived life to be when we were children. Many, many years later, I was fortunate enough to be admitted to an MBA program. Now, in MBA programs, you got to do a lot of math. There's no way to get out of it without doing math. And I was flunking the math parts of my MBA program, thinking, well, Dan, you're just terrible at math. Yes? Okay. All my life, I've been a musician. I cannot read music. I'm just one of those weird birds who can hear something and sit down at a piano. Not well, but sit down at a piano. And I was playing some horrible piano bar in Philadelphia, and in walks the professor whose class I'm flunking, and he's like, aren't you Dan Ulin, the guy who's flunking my class? I'm like, yes, flunking is a nice way of putting it. And he said, well, if you're playing, I can't remember what I was playing, some Billy Joel or Elton John or Elvis Costello song. And he said, just move that. I was in C, and he said, just move it to D sharp, and I did. He said, you're doing extremely complex math in your head. You just don't know it. Yeah, exactly. Music is just math that you hear. And what he did was, and then I found out I was really good at math, and there was a great joy in that. And so, you know, we are taught early on in life, in science, yes, that the shortest distance between 2 points, I have to put the mic down for this, is between 2 points, right? Thank you. She's so awesome. You are also awesome, and so let's give a big hand. All of you, give yourselves a big hand. The shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, point A, point B. But it's not. It's if we fold space. And yes, I did make a heart out of that. It's if we fold space, yes? So I was going to take you here. Let's just put it. Thanks. That was weird. I don't know why I just did that. It's if we fold space. In other words, if we take that 20 years between the time I was taught, Dan, you're terrible at math, or tellable, whatevs, and make that, and compress that for kids, yes? And so again, in a society in which we're taught, and I think this is true in Pakistan as well, don't make mistakes, right? Minimize those mistakes. No, mistakes are learning opportunities, right? Mistakes are wonderful opportunities to say, that isn't bad, that's just an opportunity for me to get it right the next time, right? And it's not you don't have to get it perfect to the point that you're making learning fun. It's not about getting it perfect, it's just about getting it going. And when you can instill that in children, and this was a point that you made as well, I think, does this resonate with you? That if you are free to understand, it's safe to make mistakes. In fact, you can't grow without making those mistakes. You can't become great in any endeavor as a kid, whether you're going to become an engineer, or a teacher, or a mathematician, or a fantastic interviewer, by the way, or you know, a brilliant speaker on stage. Whatever it is you're going to become, you have to go through that trial by fire. And the truth is that you're never going to get it perfect. Mastery is a lifelong process. The great cello player, Pablo Casals, right, who played every venue in the world, was asked at the age of 94. At 94, Mr. Casals, you played every stage in the world, including here in Pakistan. You played every great stage in the world. Why at the age of 94 do you practice 3 hours a day? And he said, because at the age of 94, I feel like I'm finally starting to get better. Always lean into learning, yes? Does that make sense? How many of you like
Yes.
to learn and apply what you're learning? Give yourselves a
Yes.
hand if you do.
My last question, and again, a question of my personal interest. What do you believe will be the most influential technology in shaping the future of education, not in Asian countries, not in America, not in Pakistan, globally? What is actually the most influential trend that will change the educational landscape, in your opinion?
Are you asking me? I don't know. The most influential technology, is that what you said?
Yeah.
It's not a technology. It's the, you know what's going to change it? Is the ability to interact on an even more human level. AI is here to stay. I think of AI as being, if you're a master cabinet maker, as the greatest set of power tools that you will ever have. Yes, it is. But the one thing that is going to remain is, in any endeavor, whether you're an engineer, or you're a builder, or you're a computer scientist, or you're a teacher, or whatever it is that you do, you're a restaurateur, you're a student, you're a mother, you're a father, is that exchange of human emotion. Nothing will ever take the place of that. AI will simulate that really well. And so where I lean into when you ask me that question is the ability to communicate on every possible level, on paper, in person, within yourself, negotiation, persuasion, emotional intelligence. And the truth is that that's not that difficult to learn. You just need to practice. Yes? And all of us are doing that well already. If you're here, you are a master communicator. Yes? Yes or yes? That was weak sauce. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yeah, of course. And we love to communicate. Technology is just a tool. Wow. I should have practiced before I came on stage. Technology is a tool for empowering us to communicate in more effective and wider and broader ways. It's super exciting. And it's super scary. And exciting and scary are not mutually exclusive, are they? Are they, Gabe? Are they, Gwen? Are they Dennis or Will or any of you who are out there? Are they? I see you, Nikki. Are they, people? No, they're not, right? It's exciting. Is it exciting to be alive in this incredible age of technology? Where was that drone that was flying through here before? That was 2 years ago. That would have been, wow, where did that thing come from? We're sitting in the front row and it's just another drone. Yeah?
So I just want to add something.
Yeah, sure.
I think you're so dead on as far as communication and relating. You know, I think we have to relate to the students. When I go to schools and I speak to schools, I have to try to get to their level. I have to speak to them in a way that they understand. They can't relate to me and my life experiences. And I love the space program because in learning math, I hated math like many of us did in the process. Why am I learning it? What's the purpose? So if you show a launch, if you show astronauts up on the space station,
Yes.
and you say, look, you need this math to take you there. This is something you can do. You turn it into reality. But I really like the idea of you saying you have to communicate with the kids and get them interested. And what better way than to come in class, show astronauts up on the moon, or show astronauts doing something, and then explain how the math would enable them to do that. I think that's the most fun part of it. And I think you're very, very right on in approaching it that way.
I just want to say one more thing on this. And in a country in which the average age is 23, is that what I was told today? Okay. That means there's a mean or a median that's way younger than that. And I think that very often kids are spoken to, at least in my country and a lot of the countries in which I've lived. I'm American, although I've had the good fortune to live in 6 countries and work in 30, 31, well, including Pakistan, now 32. Children are very often talked to like they're kids. Like, hey, Billy, are you having a good day? But kids are really smart. Kids are really, really smart. And when you talk to children like they're adults, they may not have car keys or credit cards. They really appreciate it. Kids are very, very smart. They haven't gone through the process of adulting yet. But when you empower them to realize, you don't tell them, but you let them realize that they've got that greatness unlocked, like inside them. There's a wonderful quote. I know my mentor Dennis is here and he doesn't love me when I drop quotes, but I'm going to drop this quote anyway. Michelangelo once said, I saw the angel alive inside the marble before I began to carve. And I think it's a very apt quote for children today and kids today and anybody. There's that angel, there's that incredible, beautiful person that's going to become an engineer or a technologist or an entrepreneur or anything, or many of those. We're all going to have serial and parallel careers. And it ties in with that mastery as a lifelong process. You are going to always be chipping away at that. And you'll also be helping other people chip away at that. If we are all in this together, yes, it's a pay it forward mentorship. We are in this together model. Technology is an empowering tool. Communications is a connectivity tool, but they're not mutually exclusive. And our being together, just the power of our being together in a room like this today, virtual is nice, but isn't it nice to be physically together in a room together? Yes or yes? Yes or yes, people? That's lovely.
Yeah, you can add, and I have a question ready for you as well.
What Daniel said, technology is empowering. I think as educators, we need to realize, again, especially in Pakistan, we talk about a median age of 23. This is their world. They will have a different take on the world, a different take the way we would want them to see the world. They're living in a different era. And it is up to us to embrace that. So yes, Gen AI, I was very apprehensive 3 years ago. I've warmed to the idea more and more. But it's also about us as educators embracing it and making sure that the communication stays live, non-virtual. That's so critical. But we need to figure out ways to make sure that that technology is empowering and is not limiting.
Just to add on that, there's a study came fairly recently out of Stanford saying that if you're going to do ideation or creation or problem solving, you need to be in the same room. That will increase your solutions or your the opportunity of getting a better solution by 16%. If you do that digitally via a screen, it's going to be reduced accordingly. So, and then they also say that using Teams or Zoom or whatever is great for planning and organizing because it makes you fast and efficient. That's what they think. But keeping these things in mind, like, are this an organization thing? Let's do it on Zoom. It's going to optimize the outcome. Is this an ideation problem solving thing? Well, then we need to come together and be in the same room because that's going to optimize. So it's also about empowering technology in the right way. Like now, people are thinking, okay, how can I get like ChatGPT to write my papers? That's not empowering. But how can I start and use that as a communicator, like your rubber duck? That's empowering. So it has a lot to do with the interaction and knowing what the limits are and the opportunities are and drawing on those strengths and those limitations to optimize how to learn. And I think that's one of the most important.
Superb, and amazing point. Entrepreneurship, a bubble, and an early life education. What is your call on that?
Sorry, I didn't let the last.
Entrepreneurship and an early life childhood education like you are doing in Middle East. What is your call on that?
Where's my
Call, your call.
I think for me, this is the foundation. You get it right and you build on that foundation. There's so much research that says kids who have a better quality of early childhood education will be more successful academically. There are studies from the US which say the crime rate is lower because at that stage, you're not just, again, it's about their personal skills, it's about their social skills, it's about the value system. So you're putting everything together at that early age. And I think that's critical. And personally, I feel educators who are not trained to deal with children that age, for me, that's almost criminal. They need to know how to reach these children, how to communicate with these children. Again, that's the foundation of a society.
Same question for you. Entrepreneurship and early education.
Well, from the pedagogy, we know that people work on degrees of freedom. 0 degrees of freedom is basically where you need everyone to tell you what to do at all times for you to execute. And at the other end, you have 3 degrees of freedom, which means I could just tell you, go build a house. And you go, okay, I've never built a house, but how do I do that? And you will actually figure it out and build a house. And then all people are on this continuum. And I think that if we give more open-ended exercises or challenges and activities, you will move people across these continuum to be a person on 0 degree of freedom moving towards 3 degrees of freedom. So I think that it's a part of also training creativity. And through creating creativity and problem solving mind, you will get people who actually also dare. Because through testing this, you'll see, oh, I could actually do that. I could try something else. So I think that's really important to do that kind of work all through life, but also when you get older. I mean, some of the most dangerous things is when older leaders specifically is like, I've done this for 25 years. I know how to do this, and this is how we're going to continue to do it. That kind of attitude is detrimental to the world. We need people who've done things for 25 years go, oh, I've done this for 25 years. Things might have changed during that time. Let me see if there's another way to go about it. And that's how we as older leaders move the needle and actually can be way more competitive in our own space by saying, oh, I've done this for 25 years, and now I'm going to do it in a different way, because times are different.
I want to nail that, answer that question if I can, as it shows up. It is never too early to start to try entrepreneurship. You could be, how many of you have children out there? I didn't hear a peep out there. How many of you have children out there? Any of you? Okay, a lot of hands went up on that one. Okay. Any of your kids could go out and run a 2-hour workshop on literally anything tomorrow. If they like, oh. Sir, what does your child like to do? Name anything. Online sportswear. Your kid could go out tomorrow and do a 2-hour workshop on designing sportswear. It doesn't matter what it could be. How old are your children? How old's your oldest child? He's 18 years. Okay. So at 18 years old, he or she could teach kids a couple of years younger, because they're just a couple of steps. If 6 or 7-year-olds would be too young, but 14, 15, 16-year-old could be 2 hours. Does not have to be perfect. Charge something, because if people don't pay, they don't pay attention. Charge $1 or the equivalent of $1. Okay. It could be on anything. Teach them 3 things, and walk away from that, and have a transformation. At the end, they walk away having designed a shirt, not just teaching them something. Because learning, if you teach something and they're going to learn something, learning is kind of in and of itself sort of a boring word. But you're going to walk away having accomplished this. Yes, that does 2 things. Oh, are we over time?
Yeah.
Okay. Run a workshop, charge for it. That packs together technology, communications, and they're going to make some money from it, and they're going to be able to carry that forward.
Just a quick common questions from all of you. In one line, what advice would you give to the budding entrepreneurs, students, entrepreneurs, startup specialists, budding teachers, educators? What is one-liner advice you would give to these people sitting in this room?
So for me, when I'm going to schools around the world, no matter what age, there's something I really push with everybody. I push 3 things. Do your best. Enjoy what you do. Believe in yourself. You learn these 3 things, you'll never have stress, you'll never have pressure, you'll never work. You'll be very successful and have fun doing it. This is most important for me.
One-liner.
Get your fundamentals in order.
Super, amazing. One-liner.
Lean into the things that scare you and go for it.
Have a vision and stay with the vision.
Superb. That's all, everyone. Thank you so much
Thank you.
for your time. And thank you.